Jenny-Jaymes and our sidekick Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Queers In A Truckk. Hi y'all.
See you. It's back. Good morning, everybody. This is another edition of Two Queers in a Truckk with Christian and Jenny, and it is already February. I mean, it is. I don't even know what day it is in February yet.
February, let's see, 7th. Wow.
The 7th, which is wild. That if you're seeing this for the first time, which will be a week from when we tape it, that we're already that far into the year. The 12th of the year is gone.
Wow.
Just gone. And it tells you, I don't know if it's the activity level of this year and just how much is going on. It's like I could have come up with 12 topics today. I mean, I've got some topics doubled up because some of them aren't that funny. But it's just absolute sheer madness going on, and we'll get right to it. This one's a non-political but kind of political topic. It is an article that I've seen several times, but there was somebody that used the proposal of creating a high-speed rail network in the Northeast corridor, but it goes all the way to Birmingham, Alabama, connects Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, through Virginia, DC, splits off and makes a giant loop that goes all the way out to Chicago, actually, but includes Detroit, couple major cities in Canada, and comes down Boston, New York, and all this. And theoretically, if it was similar to what you see in China, Japan, and Europe, you could get from like Atlanta to Boston in like 2 hours. And the idea is to get cars off the road, get travelers off the road, use high-speed rail as a modern tool to move people and to get major cities less car-centric. Just like some of these construction projects they're doing in Saudi Arabia, where they're building these giant walkable communities that are like 100 miles long, but not that wide. And you live in these little sections of it, and you have everything you need, restaurants, grocery stores. But you can literally walk to work within 5 to 15 minutes. And it's a live, work, play space. And trying to create these mega cities of tomorrow. Obviously, one, to divest out of oil. So these are all green spaces. They operate completely autonomously. But it's kind of along that movement, that the green technology, the green New Deal, and high speed rail. They've been threatening it here in the United States for a long time. I will believe it when I see it. And I'd love to see it. I would love to be able to just hop on a really cheap ticket to go to New York.
So is it being
and
proposed?
Not have to worry about it. What?
Is it being proposed or what? What is it?
Well, there's a lobby for it, and there is a lot of resurgence on it because of the infrastructure bill. And to modernize our rail transportation that is predominantly in this country is limited to Amtrak. But Amtrak doesn't have any kind of capability like this. These are trains that go several hundred miles per hour. So it's not much different than flying. except you can put a lot more people on a train, obviously, than plane. They're designed to not pollute the environment like an airplane does. And so it's interesting. It's interesting how they've built out the little loop, and it makes sense when you see the picture of it. And it looks like a giant nine is what it looks like, the way it's kind of curved around and all that. But it would cover the majority of the population of the East Coast and the Northeast, except for like Florida. But the business traffic and the commuter traffic, and some tourism would really be well served, because there's a lot of business travel from Charlotte to other places here in the East. And so that's the intentionality, is to create a regional hub, not much different than what you would see in Europe with the Euro rail and the Euro passes. And it's interesting. It's something I would love to see, and I'd love to see our cities built around this kind of thing, and this kind of thing be more accessible, and getting cars off the road is the intentionality, is to detoxify our cities by making them more walkable, bikeable, mass transit, to where there's just, cars cost a lot of money, and the car culture, cities that have converted to more of a car-free environment where there's not even cars on the roads, the people are happier. Although it's automobiles bring a lot of problems, car crashes, drunk driving, things of that nature, and it's like taking our society back to, you still can have mass transit, you still get where you're wanting to go, but not have the issues that you have with using automobiles as your primary transportation. And you kind of see it with New York City a little bit anyway. There's a lot of people that live in New York City that don't own a car. There's a lot of adults in New York City that don't even have a driver's license because they've never had to drive. So you see it in modern cities and in new cities that have come about in the last 40 years. It's just that Americans aren't real big in giving up their cars, and we are a car culture, and we even build our houses around our cars because of garages and But the next topic wasn't really even designed to be a funny topic, but I thought it was interesting, and it caught my attention. The MAGAs and MAGA Nation is losing it all over Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, to the point to where they're saying they're going to boycott the Super Bowl, and there's this movement, including with Donald Trump, where they're trying to put public pressure to literally cancel her or say that she's problematic for the NFL, and what people don't realize, Kansas City Chiefs have benefited from the publicity of her coming to the game. Mm-hmm. They've benefited financially as well.
Yep.
And they've had the biggest audience in their history, and it's because Taylor Swift is a wide phenomenon. They're trying to compete with something that they probably bit off more than they can chew. It's gotten absolutely outrageous, and MAGA strategists are trying to come up with all kinds of workarounds, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing for them. It is stupid, super childish, and just kind of weird, that they're so fixated on her, because they're trying to do the same thing they did to, with the Bud Light thing last year and things like that. The only difference is Taylor Swift's not going to back off. She supports Biden. She supports the Democrats. She's getting people to register to vote. A younger crowd. She's committed to getting 5 million Gen Z people registered to vote. And she probably can do it. Yeah, and people like her are going to be transformative for our democracy. It's what we need, is modern young voices, no matter where they come from. And that's what scares them. They don't have anything where run out Kevin Sorbo. Didn't have better acting than Kevin Sorbo's movies. Like Hercules, you watch Hercules to make fun of it. It was one of the worst movies ever. I don't even know if I sat all the way through it. I know I didn't pay to go see it in the theater. It's one of those that went straight from the movie theater right to VHS or DVDs almost immediately, because most people don't even know Kevin Sorbo was an actor. So it's Ted Nugent. What, he had one hit song in the 1970s, Cat Scratch Fever, and hasn't been relevant. He wasn't relevant then. He's definitely not relevant now. Most people don't know he's a musician. He's just an old guy that screams about guns. And their side's not relevant. They know they're not relevant. They're trying to stay relevant with all this border stuff. And it's just a bunch of made up crises and hair on fire issues. And Taylor Swift is a prime example. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's dating a person that's as famous as she is. They both are not shy about the relationship. Why should they be? Like, does it matter that they're both famous and they're both wealthy? They're both worth a lot of money. And they can say what they want, but she's not doing it for the money. She's worth more than he is. Like 10, 15 times more. and she can sing and perform forever. He's going to be, nobody lasts forever in the NFL. Like, I'm not wishing anything on him, but the reality is the average career in the NFL is 2.5 seasons. Because so many people never even make it out of training camp. And so, football players, even the longest of careers, is still usually at 10 years, 15 years tops. Everyone's will get a quarterback or a kicker that makes it 20, but they're pretty tore up by the 20th year. I mean, or they just never got hit that much. But it's just wild. It's wild that they're so mad about her. And it just seems like it just fuels her. She's just going to do more. If they think she's going to back down, they've got another thing coming. And artists like Taylor Swift also are going to rally. You're going to see in 2024, you're going to see a lot of young, in tune people doing the right thing, getting people out to vote, cutting through the BS. And as we've seen, we've had younger guests on our podcast, other podcast with Coffee. They want people, the older people, to cut out the crap. They're like, the world's burning down, literally. And you're mad about a fake border crisis. You're mad about, things that don't even exist except in your minds, your delusional minds. And the youth, the young adults of America are done with us. We just don't realize it yet. We don't want to realize it. And they're the whatever generation, which is another way of saying, fuck you, move over, grandpa. We'll be right back with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueapplytech.com, and you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs. We have pillow covers. We have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. And it's great fun. And it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
This year.
That's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our stores on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truckk on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy Pride.
And we are back. So Ronnie Jackson and the White House pharmacy is in the news. The reports and the logs. So the White House has an internal pharmacy. People don't realize this because there's so many people. Even though it's the presidential residency, it's also kind of an office building and bunker, and it's a public building. There's parts of it you can publicly tour on certain days. And one of them, it has a full-blown commercial kitchen. It has banquet halls. It's a very large building. If you've never been to Washington, D.C. and toured the White House, it's quite large. But one of the big things is the pharmacy, the medicine, and they always have a White House doctor. While Congressman Ronnie Jackson was the White House doctor during the Trump administration, his pill logs are coming under fire for a lot of reasons. One, he was supposed to be using generic drugs. If possible, always be prescribing generics. And he didn't. And ran up huge bills. Surprise, surprise. Second thing is the kind of large quantities. There was 8 and 9 month stretches in certain years where they ordered enough pills to cover 3 to 4 years worth of pills. And over the time that he was the White House doctor, the amount of pills dispensed are up in the thousands, if not tens of thousands. And people are wondering, and it's ketamine. It is hydrocodones. It is fentanyl, the big scary fentanyl that you just can look at it and it'll kill you. Ambien, heavy class 1 narcotics, the prescription kind, but dosages that clearly this just wasn't one person taking this, which probably explains a lot of the Twitter storms that Trump was having at 3 a.m. when he was hopped up on pills, and definitely explains Junior, and just may not have been coke, maybe pills, because and conservatives love pills. They love narcotic pills. When I've lived in conservative areas, almost everybody I knew was on some hydrocodones, uppers, downers, flippies, floppies, and just like that one scene from like this comedy movie, and it was probably one of his first big roles, but it wasn't The Rock, but the other guy that's been in a lot of movies lately.
Kevin
and he's
Hart?
playing this. No, it's a big guy. It's a big pro wrestler.
Cena.
John Cena,
John Cena. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got these fake tattoos on his face, and he's like, I got weed, I got crack, I got ketamine, and he goes down and he goes, I got Flintstones gummies, I got, and that's basically Ronnie Jackson, but Ronnie Jackson is drunk most days. He's either drunk or high. And if you've ever seen any of his press conferences as a congressman, you go, he talks so fast that it sounds like he's being played on fast forward. You know he's on something. You know he's better living through chemistry. And I don't have a problem with people taking narcotics and all this. What I have a problem with is the hypocrisy around this same crowd. Well, we don't want anybody else doing that. It's okay if we do it. It's okay if we're high as a kite. But we just don't want everybody doing it. And the same with sex, sexual freedom, body autonomy. You know, it's just like our lieutenant governor now that paid for abortion 30 years ago. Well, I just don't want getting abortions. And it's very just unhinged. And it's something that we definitely are going to have an issue with, because again, you know, this guy's running for president, and this kind of stuff matters. You know, they talk about the administration and his drug challenges and issues, and Biden didn't deny that. But then this was dispensed to the presidential family. This was dispensed to Trump. These are people that worked in the White House. This wasn't like they don't have out of the White House come and get pills. This is an in-house internal drug dispensary that was dispensing enough drugs to knowledge. And there's got to be questions answered on that. Were they selling them? Was Ronnie Jackson selling them and just assigning them to people? You know, was there drug dealing coming out of the White House? There's a lot of questions. There's not a whole lot of answers. The Army of God, the Texas National Guard and many National Guards from other states have been sent down to Texas to guard the border. And the funny thing is, they're sending them to one small town, a border crossing, I believe, near Eagle Pass. And obviously, the southern border is thousands of miles long. It goes across 4 different states. And this is just a performance art. This is just a bunch of Republican governors from Montana to wherever that are basically wanting to have governmental theater and take a stand and all that. And there's our border, the Border Patrol and all that. You know, we have that kind of covered. But I saw on the Twitter, there's this video, and this guy says, I usually vote Republican, but I was doing this business trip, and he lives in Texas, and he had to do some business near the border. He said that he chose to drive over near where all this was going on and where all these people were supposedly coming across. And he showed a video of the border wall, starting with one of the parks where one of the major border crossing is, and there was a bunch of people there. But you go a half mile or a mile down the road, and there's all these just open gates in the border wall. People don't realize every certain amount of feet, there's a gate. Now, some of them had gate doors and had them padlocked. Some didn't. Some had the padlock and the chain so loose you could definitely squeeze people through it. And some just didn't even have doors. They were just open. So it'd be like a 20-foot wide space in the border wall, this $1 billion border wall that's supposed to keep people out. And it goes for miles, you know, and people don't realize, one, we also have thousands of miles of coastline. If people want to get in this country, they can just get on a boat, and if they pay enough money, they can pull right up to anywhere in the Texas coast, Alabama, California. But there's so many ways of getting in this country. You can come in on an air flight if you wanted to, because you have the documents to come in. And this is where a lot of undocumented people come from, is they just stay, even when their documents expire. You know, people are so fixated on the southern border and all this, acting like it's an invasion. They don't even know what an invasion is. Ask the people of Ukraine what an invasion looks like. We're not being invaded. In fact, the Biden administration has apprehended more people than the Trump administration did. And so it's a made-up crisis. It's if they're really worried about that, the first thing they need to do is make sure all those little gaps in the wall are filled out. Like, let's worry about that. But the Army of God thing, and how they're making this into like this religious heroic crusade, and you can just tell these people have never served in the military or anything like that, but they're sending on these National Guard people that are part-time weekend warriors. Normally they're going to help out with disaster zones and stacking sandbags and protecting property when tornadoes go through. They're going to be paid to go down there and sit around in Texas to do nothing. So the taxpayers of each of the states are going to pay for a Texas field trip for their fellow neighbors that are in the state National Guard. And the irony of irony is, it's going to cost those states a lot of money. The federal government doesn't have to reimburse them. There was no reason. It's not a reimbursable expense. So it's going to have to come out of the state emergency funds. What happens if they have a flood? What if they have a tornado? What if they have an earthquake? Whatever. It's going to cost them. It could be a disaster. They're like, oh, we can't deploy the National Guard because we're broke. But most importantly, when I think of Army of God, I think back to the Branch Davidians in Waco and their standoff with federal officers before. It didn't end well for the kooks. And in this case, the kooks, the crazy ass Governor Abbott.
What could happen? What could happen?
Yeah, what could happen? You know, if somebody accidentally discharges their gun and the feds swoop in with the federal military, FBI, whatever, it's not going to end well for a bunch of National Guardsmen. You're just it's like putting a bunch of bees in a jar and just shaking it up and then letting them loose and then wondering why you got stung. It's pure idiocy. It's a waste of taxpayers' money, which they're big about pointing out how Democrats spend money. But that is the end of topic 4, and we'll be right back with some more 2 Queers in a Truck.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on 2 Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching 2 Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
But I think for MAGAs, I think 2024 is going to be, if you thought 2020 was crazy, 2024 is hold my beer and watch how stupid we can be, because they have nothing to run on. The House of Representatives, controlled by Republicans, did not do a damn thing last year. They've got no list of accomplishments. Their activity level is the lowest in the history of the House. They passed 21 laws last year. That's it. In a full scheduled year, 21 laws. It's a record low. Never been done before. This includes years during the Civil War and World War II, which to me is just bizarre. Quite an accomplishment, but a dubious one. So the two things, these are also Texas related. Ted Cruz is in trouble. Polling data in multiple different polls, college polls, different Dallas Morning News, all only have him 1 or 2 points ahead of Colin Allred. There's almost a statistical dead heat. The second thing is the supposed convoy that started in Virginia that was going to draw out 40,000 truckers ended up only about 20 cars showed up. And it's two MAGA flops, Ted Cruz and this convoy. They're a bunch of nothing burgers. Ted Cruz's problem is that he's been in his job for a long time. And people are starting to say, we don't see it. We don't see why you keep voting in. And he's up for re-election this year. And he's got some pretty stiff competition. And people are just kind of like, it's probably time for him to go. I don't think he will pull. I don't think he can win. I think if Texans can rally and make better choices, and I think just like with Trump, I think if the independents, the people that just want something change, they want change. It was like in '92. We had 12 years of Reagan and Bush. People were going, it's the economy, stupid. We're tired of it. We're tired of just the madness from the Republicans. People don't want what Republicans want. In Texas, 79% of the population supports abortion and reproductive rights. Yet, this last year, which is going to be topic 6, but I'm going to go ahead and get into it a little bit. 26,000 Texas women and girls were sexually assaulted and were impregnated, but they end up getting pregnant. And Texas's anti-abortion law has no codicil for sexual assault, meaning there's 26,000 forced births. And that's for the assaults that got reported. And we all know how many times police talk women and girls out of not even filing a report. Not even, and how many women and girls don't ever report sexual crimes. I just go on their merry way. These are the assaults, which Texas led the nation last year in sexual assault pregnancies. Not a shocker. They've been in the top 10 in violence, and especially sexual assault. Now, this is after Governor Hot Wheels said when they passed the abortion bill, we're not going to do an exception to rape because I'm going to end sexual assault in Texas. I'm going to do it myself. I've got this powerful, magical plan to end sexual assault. It looks like you accelerated it. It looks like you made it worse because now these rapists, these psychopaths, know that there's no consequence. Like if they get somebody pregnant, they can be forced to have the baby. And there's been a case already where after the baby was born, a rapist, a sex criminal, sued the girl that had gave birth and got custody of the child, which is just but what's more mind-blowing is that if in 2024 women don't go out and vote for Democrats and they keep voting for this, it'll be one of those things where, like on Survivor, when Jeff Probst says, I got nothing for you. Because if they continue to put doorknobs into office like Ted Cruz, that wants to do a national ban on abortion, if they re-elect guys like that and fill the Senate up with Republicans and do the same in the House, the Speaker's House already said, if they win back the Senate and the presidency, they're going to do a national ban on abortion. There will be no sanctuary state. There will be no protection. There will be nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And anybody with functioning ovaries in this country, no matter how they feel about abortion and birth control, when it's gone, it's gone. And it won't come back for a long, long time. And men will have say over what happens with your body, just like they're trying to do with trans people. In Florida, they've passed a law that if you're a trans person and you went through the courts and got your name legally changed and your gender markers changed, when you go to renew your ID, you can be arrested for fraud, even though you've gone through the courts and done this. And it's just another way of them trying to eliminate the LGBT community, because they know we'll resist. They know that Generation Z is the queerest and most diverse adult generation ever in our history. They're blacker, they're browner, they're more diverse, and they ain't Republican. And the Republicans are trying to shut every door they can on young women, LGBT people. Up in Seattle, Washington, of all places, the police are now going around and raiding gay bars again, saying what outfits that they're wearing inside a bar, inside a privately owned bar, is public indecency. You know, like there's probably some twinks that are wearing little short boy shorts and whatever, and you probably can see their anatomy on the front side, and you know they're wearing tight clothes and see-through shirts and all that. It's now being considered public indecency. Chattanooga, Tennessee passed that law that being gay in public, holding hands, kissing, anything is public indecency, to where gay men can't go outside in the public together. And people looked at me when I said, they're going to start applying this crazy shit they're applying to trans people, to other people. It's here, folks. And we need to vote for common sense. We need to, because obviously two gay men in public is not public indecency. And if you're in a bar, you're in a private bar and bars and clubs I've ever been in, usually have blacked out windows. They usually, it's not like a retail store. People aren't walking by and seeing what you're doing at the bar. If you want to wear shorty shorts and booty shorts and see-through tops, what does it matter? But one thing we can't do is keep voting these people in office and expecting a different result. These people, they've got nothing better to do, obviously. Making our air cleaner or our water more drinkable, Forget about Flint, Michigan. It's no big deal. They don't have drinkable water. Like, we don't want to do stuff like that. We don't want to fix that. We don't want to make sure that kids have food on the weekend. We want to eliminate all the school lunch programs, but that's not a big deal. Starving kids is no big deal. 1 out of 6 kids going hungry in this country, no big deal. We got to worry about transgender driver's license. We got to worry about bathrooms, because that is, all those invasions of bathrooms by trans people and how they've taken over the bathrooms is just intolerable. You can't even go to a public bathroom anymore without a trans person not blocking the door or doing something crazy. Remember all that? Remember when all those trans people took over the bathroom? Oh, I don't either. and it's because it's never happened. And it's just like Taylor Swift taking over America. Taylor Swift is one pop singer who has a huge following and a huge audience. Actually, she has more Twitter followers than Trump does, which means that Trump, once again, doesn't measure up in more ways than one with his McLittle hands. And somewhere he's pounding a desk with those little hands and getting as mad as he can. Well, let me tell you something. If you're a former president and you can't measure up to a pop star, maybe you've done something wrong. Maybe this is a dare to be great moment, making America great. What making America great isn't is taking away people's human rights and dignity. That's not my America. And I know our followers and listeners, that's not their America. And if we want to, I'm all for making America great. But the right version of great is not demonizing new people of color that come to this country. It's not demonizing the poor. It's not demonizing school kids that can't afford to eat on the weekends or having school lunch debt. That shouldn't even be a word. That shouldn't even be in existence. There should be no school lunch debt in this country. When we've got guys like Elon Musk that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, that should not coexist with kids that can't afford a school lunch. Tax the rich. Let's get serious. And let's fix things. Let's make some of this make sense. We have plenty of abundance to feed people, house people. It's not going to hurt Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, any of these hyper wealthy people. They couldn't spend all that money if they wanted to. Elon Musk has so much money that he got investors in himself to go out and buy a social media site because he needed a new play toy and he was bored. That's the country we live in. But we won't feed school kids. Yeah. Okay. Come on 2024 and come on meteorites hitting the earth, because we may need a reset. I don't know. But anyway, that is our last segment, and we will dance out to some music for 2 Queers in a Truck. Babu.
Babu.
Hey y'all, thank you for watching, and happy February, the month of love and Black History Month, and we will dive more into that on our next episode, which will be Valentine's week.
Wow.
So the love is in the air, and except for Trump, he must sit on tag. Have a great week, folks.
Babu.
Babu.